Everybody from around the world? Welcome, welcome, welcome to the Breakfast of Champions call. This is your host and MC, James Zhang. It's an honor to be here with you today. And I got a question for you guys today. But have you ever been building your business? You've been striving towards your goals, and you start to feel like you're burned out. Or you feel like you're doing the do, but for some reason you're not getting the results that you feel that you deserve. And you're wondering and you're scratching your head and you're wondering, like, what could it be? Why does it seem like this pattern continues to happen? And what could it actually do to shift things? Well, today I want to submit to you a principle that absolutely floored me, but shifted everything. Where not long ago, we were broke as a joke. We were hundreds of thousands of dollars in consumer debt, not knowing financially if we will be able to break through, failing our business and our goals, thinking that we were completely out, to just this last week. And I'll just share a personal story. And it's not to impress you, it's impress upon you something. But what happened was we were able to, one of our goals is we love to give. I wonder if you're that type of person that loves to give as well too. But when I made this shift, this last year, we were literally able to give more in 1 year than we used to make in 1 year. And that allowed us, we are very involved with our church community, and we were sitting at this table, and apparently we were within the top percentile of our entire church in terms of generosity. And we're sitting there, and it's this intimate table with a lot of our amazing pastors and a lot of amazing entrepreneurs and leaders. And we're sitting there, and to be honest, I feel a little bit like an imposter syndrome because I'm like, not long ago, it was really not that case. And they were talking, and they were like, among you are the most generous and wealth builders in the entire church. I'm like, really? There's a lot of successful people in the church. I'm like, wow, that's crazy. And we went around the table and everyone was giving a testimony. And when I got up, I had this word on my heart that I want to impart to you as well too. And the word was this, is that the difference maker for me and my family was that instead of being potted, we got planted. And I want to submit that to you today specifically as well too. What does this mean? Well, let me use this analogy. If you've ever gardened before, we have now, we're able to buy our dream home, our business. Thank God for an amazing partner co-business, an amazing team. But as we were there, we're gardening. And to be honest, I'm not the best green thumb. A lot of our stuff die, even though we're doing a lot of succulents, they still die. But we're doing our best. But I realized something interesting. And it drew a lot of life principles that I think will impact you as well too. Is that when you go buy plants, many times they're in these pots, they're in a planter. And when they're in the pot, they only grow to so much in their life. They're limited, they're stunted in growth. But the moment you remove them from the pot and you plant them in the soil and you surround them around other plants and you put them into a greater environment where they can absorb nutrition from the soil, where they can actually glean from the other plants in the environment, they start to boom in growth. They start to grow into the God given potential that they all have. And I realized that this was such a powerful analogy in life that I'll submit to you because of pain, because of trauma, because of trial. I removed myself from being planted in my life before and I became potted. And what that means is this: have you ever said to yourself these types of things? You know what? I'm just going to go do this on my own. Or you know what? Being in community with others just takes too much time. I don't got time for that. I got busy, I got family. I can do this business by myself. I got the systems in place. I don't want to deal with people. They're too much drama. I'm just going to go figure out this way myself and I got it. Or you might say to yourself, if it were to be, it's up to me. I don't need any help. Well, I want to challenge you today, champion. I believe that those types of thoughts, and I fell victim to this myself as well too, are one of the biggest hindrances and barriers to your growth in life. It's biblical. If you're a student of the Bible at all, it says in the beginning, when God created man and woman, he said, it's not good for man to be alone. So, at any point in your life, here's a secret to life if you want to grow into success. It is impossible to grow into your full potential without being in community and relationship with other people. Now, I know, champion, we've all been hurt. I don't know your story, but you do. Right away, I know some of us are being triggered. You're like, well, I let my heart open before. And for example, in my network marketing business, I'll tell you very honestly, I've had multiple mentors and uplines literally screw me over. I've had uplines literally steal people from my downline. I've had upline leaders that gave a wrong direction and I chose to comply with that. And it led multiple people to financial ruin and even bankruptcy. I've seen so much hurt, so much turmoil, so much stress. On the flip side, I've been a leader where I've had people that I have been close with. They were in my wedding party, they were close friends, all of a sudden walk out on me. And that hurt. Have you been through that in your life? And have we let that scarred our hearts to not be willing to be in community again? Well, I want to really come against this today because, yes, it's true you've been through hurt. And yes, it's true you've been through pain. But let me submit to you a couple of things that helped heal my heart and allowed me to come back into community and to be planted once again. It's hard, but it's absolutely worth it. All right. So, number one is this: understand that every single person in your life is there for a season and a reason. A season and a reason. Especially in our network marketing business, I fell into this trap before where I've said, my uplines should have known better. Why did they blah, blah, blah? Or in the team, do they not know how much I've poured into them? Why did they do XYZ? Let's talk about this. When we say these things, what that's actually doing is we're putting ourselves into a place of false expectation and judgment on what people should or should not do. The truth of the matter is this, is that the only person that we can control is ourselves. The moment we try to control other people, it is just going to go haywire. So when we ever feel that way about people, you know what happens? The enemy comes and he gives you a lie. He says, look how much they hurt you. And we start to go off these rabbit trails and we leave the field. Because the moment that we put judgment on people is the moment that we fall into the trap ourselves. Instead of judging, instead of condemning, instead of feeling ungrateful, which I felt all these things, and there's legitimate things that have happened, understand this. They were there for a season and a reason. I don't own them. They have their own life. They have their own journey. So what do you do when you understand this? I realized that there were people in the past of my life, and then I let go of that. I said, okay, they were there at some point, and I'm grateful now. They're now moving into the next chapter. What's actually happening in these situations? Could it be that God's pruning you from relationships that aren't going to help you grow in this season of your life? But could it be that He's trying to plant you into greater soil, different relationships, different opportunities so that you can grow to the next level of you? This happened in our current company. It's called Partner Co. And what happened was I'd been involved in the previous company with different owners that I loved, with amazing leaders and teammates that I loved. And all of a sudden, our company went bankrupt. Our dreams were shut down. We were hurt because we felt like we were misled. We were frustrated. We were concerned. We were worried. We're like, screw this thing. We're just going to go do real estate or start my own business or something like that. Well, then the new owners came in, John Wadsworth and Darren Zobrist, and to be honest, didn't trust them at all. But they gave their ideas and they gave their vision. And what we decided was to trust one more time. I realized that the people in my past life were there for a season and a reason, and I'm grateful for that. And then we looked at this new season and we looked at this new soil. We said, what if it actually could be amazing? And I remember very clearly there was a moment of pivot here. There was a leadership meeting that happened with 20 of the top leaders as Partner Co was being formed. We were deciding, should we go, should we not go? We were hurt. We were traumatized. We're like, I don't know if I want to touch this anymore. I don't know if I want to be in community with people or partner with other people. It hurts too much. But it felt like God nudged me and he said, all right, let's see where you can go. One of the leaders in this 20 leader meeting reached out to me. He said, if you want a seat at the table, then come to this meeting. We decided to trust one more time. And we went to that meeting. And guess what? We were able to uproot ourselves from a previous soil, which was great for the season, but it had run dry of nourishment. And we put ourselves into a different soil. And we started to collaborate with amazing, amazing 7-figure, 8-figure earners. We collaborated with people that I was thinking to myself, why could I never have these people in my life? Where were they? They were always there, champion. It's just that at that moment in your life, you were in community and relationship with others that were there in that season. But when one season closes, it's time for the next season. We put ourselves into community. I started collaborating with people I didn't know as much. I started opening up my heart again. I started doing cross-line work and collaboration. I started what's called blurring the lines of the sponsorship. I started adding value to the mix. And guess what? They started adding value to me. And systems came out of that. Relationships came out of that. Breakthrough came out of that. To this day, some of our best friends and mentors came because we allowed ourselves to be planted one more time instead of staying potted. Champion, it's a lie that you need to do things by yourself. Champion, I want to challenge you to let go of anything in the past that might have hurt your heart to prevent you from actually diving in. All right. So understand there's a season and a reason. Second thing, let me give you something that's super big on the heart because you might be planting yourself or trying to plant yourself into new soil, but it's kind of like you dip one foot in and one foot out. You're in a call, you're not in a call. You're there, but you're not there. You're not on camera. You're kind of multitasking. You're physically there, but you're not emotionally there. You're not spiritually there. That also is not being planted. Right? That's you kind of like, it's like your roots go down. And then the moment they touch some water, it's like, they retreat. So what's also important? How do you shift this? Write this down. Shift expectation for appreciation. Shift expectation for appreciation. One of the biggest things that I've realized that helps me to guard my heart and to go into new relationships well, and to also look back on previous relationships well, is I shifted this expectation from appreciation. For example, as I was making this new move, I looked past the previous relationships that I had. And instead of looking at it as why did they do this? I said, you know what? I'm grateful because at one point in time, they were partnered with me. At one point in time, we had great times. At one point in time, they were great mentors. They were great friends. They were great partners. They were great whatever. And I'm so grateful because that happened. And now it's okay because it's different season. They got different stuff. I had one of my top leaders. We had a falling out because of ingratitude, both on his end and my end. And as we were making this shift, we sent a message to this person and said, you know what? I just want to let you know, I know we haven't been in communication. I know relationships change. But I just want to let you know that I'm grateful that you were there in a major season of our life. Business changes, but relationships remain. And I'm grateful that we had that relationship. Some of us today, champion, need to shift our perspective on relationships. A partner, a friend, an ex, a mentor, a parent, a brother. So there's somebody there. Can you shift that today? Can you start declaring gratitude over that person instead of an expectation? Also, there's some relationships now where maybe you're in a community, but you're expecting your leaders to do something for you. You're expecting your team to do something for you. You're expecting your people to do something for you. Champion, we're not here to be served, we're here to serve. We're not here to be served, we're here to serve. You guys still with me? All right. Last thing that allows you to be fully planted, that allows you to continue to actually receive full nourishment, is that you have to give before you receive. So, whenever you get into a new environment, naturally, you know what we do? Naturally, we think, what can I get? How do I take advantage of everything around me? Give me it all. I have this entitlement. I grew up a very entitled person, so I get it. Spoiled brat. But when I realized that if I want to extract the full value, there are laws in life and principles of giving and receiving. You give first with no expectation of getting, but getting always comes back. That's a law of the kingdom. That's law of the world. So if you want to receive the fullness of the new environments that you're in, then aim to give as much value as you can. In my business, what did that start to look like? I would come onto the calls and I'd be there early. I would be there whenever I could. I would be on video. I would be there dressed up. I'd have my hair done. I'd be there ready to go as a good participant. I'd be in the chats on Zoom, adding tons of value. I'd be celebrating the wins and clapping for other people until it was my turn. I'd be edifying other people. I'd be sharing anything that I could share, not with any expectation, but out of gratitude. I wanted to showcase that I'm grateful for this new community. So, what can I give? What can I give? And I started to become one of the most valuable people in that community. To this day, if you see how I am within Partner Co., people ask, how is it that you're chosen to speak around the world? How is it that you're chosen to be within what's called the executive club? How is it that you have access to corporate and the founders and all these different types of things? I hope that it's true that if you see me in action, any environment that I go into, I'm always the number one cheerleader. I'm always the number one fan. I'm always the number one advocate. I'm always aiming to be the number one value bringer. I'm going to be that best number two to make the number one look amazing. And it's not because I'm trying to manipulate or take something from them. It's because I'm grateful. Because I know what it's like being potted. I know what it's like falling into the deception that you have to do things by yourself. I remember what it was like being so lonely. I remember what it was like not being in community. I remember what it was like not being able to talk to someone else, feeling like I was a failure, feeling like I was a fraud, feeling like no one would ever receive me again. I'm telling you, champion, it is the worst place to be. It is an absolute lie if you feel like you need to be alone. Last thing is this. Think about prison. And you think about one of the top punishments you can get for high crimes, besides the death penalty. Why is it that the top punishment is solitary confinement? It's because they know that the worst thing could happen to anyone else is when you remove yourself from the soil of other people, of community, of relationship, and you're by yourself. Because by yourself, the truth is this, you're stunted in growth. And if you're not growing, you'll eventually die spiritually, emotionally, financially, mentally, everything. So today, I just want to come against that lie that you need to do it by yourself. I want to encourage you to find the communities that you're in and lean in one more time. I want to encourage you to shift your expectation for appreciation on the past and on the present. I want to challenge you to become the number one giver of value in whatever community that you're in. Run with all the promotions, be the number one cheerleader, play the game, and just have fun. And as you do that, it'll shift how your life is. You have joy, you have peace, you have gratitude, you have success. It's what took our business from out of the dumps into 10x growth, literally. And we ended up giving more in 1 year than we have ever made within 1 year before as well too. So are you potted or are you planted? I hope you say planted. So with that, champion, I hope this encouraged you. If it did, you might want to share this replay. It's on bocpodcast.com, and let one of your leaders know, let one of your mentors know. And I hope this really did bless you. Other than that, I'll turn it back to you. Have a blessed day. Bye-bye.